it's me, Shauna. What's going on? Today, in just about 2 minutes, we're going to be going live with my good friend and mentor, if you will, Michelle Long. You can find her over at the Practice for Women. And I just wanted to kind of share my quick story about how she essentially changed the kind of direction of my life 7 years ago. So she was the one that literally introduced me to self-care, to connecting with myself. We'd meet in circle at her yoga studio and just meet with women and connect, and then connecting back with yourself in the presence of other women. It was life-changing. And I probably didn't know it at the time, but it literally was the thing that pushed me to do what I do today. It got me on my own healing journey. And what was so magical about doing circles with Michelle was there was no judgment. And like, she really taught me that, wanting alone time as a mom was not bad, right? There was no pressure to be this perfect person, because this is what is, I think, affecting so many women these days, is we have to, be perfect. We can't ask for what we want. We're really kind of, holding ourselves back. But what Michelle was really able to teach me was to connect here, right? And figure out what I wanted. And it's okay. It's not selfish. It's not, I'm not bad. If I want alone time, or if I want to be connected with moms, or I want, whatever it is. So I'm going to see how I can add Michelle on. So bear with me just a second. It'll pop up here in just a sec. Okay, no, that didn't work. Let me see. There she is. Okay, I'm gonna send her. There you are. So bear with me while I just pull her up on live. Yay! Hi. Hi, Michelle. Oh, there you are.
Is it frozen? Is it working? There we are. Hi.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. Bear with me, guys. This is my first time doing a live with someone else. Oh, there you are. Okay. Yes, I can hear you now. Yay! Okay, if you can hear me. Uh-oh.
I'm not getting good.
It just has the, yeah, it has the swirling button, like it's working. Okay, let me see. Well, we'll figure this out, guys. No worries.
Can you hear me,
Michelle,
now?
Can you hear me, or is it my reception or yours?
I can hear you now. I just adjusted something, so maybe that'll help.
Okay. Yay. Okay. So welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I was just telling everyone my story of my burnout, and how you kind of introduced me to what kind of changed my path on life. And I didn't know it at the time. I thought I was just going to go to a yoga studio and, stretch. And what that literally, the experience of the yoga and the circle time with women and connecting to me, you really introduced me to just get back to myself. I have never taken care of myself prior to that. And so I kind of wanted to have you maybe share your story, or what led you to doing what you're doing right now. And then we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, I feel like my story has had many chapters and many many evolutions, but I've been teaching yoga for about 20 years, which is crazy. And I started out as a Bikram yoga teacher, which, as some of you may know, is very physical, very disciplined, very focused on working out and, being fit. And there was nothing wrong with that at the time, but it opened up many, many doors for me. And so that's where my practice sort of began in my early 20s. And soon after that, in my mid 20s, got pregnant unexpectedly. I was not married, not ready to have a baby, but was given a child and decided to keep the baby. And at the very same time, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so basically for my pregnancy and the first year of my baby's life, I was midwifing my own mom to her passing. And it was, as you can imagine, just like a perfect hurricane storm. It was excruciating in so many ways. And in that time, still studying yoga, I then was studying holistic health in a master's program. So I was absorbed in health and wellness while watching my mom die and becoming a mother myself. And I realized at that time, that my mom, although she was amazing, she was a woman who never took care of herself ever. And at that point I was becoming a mother. So I started to identify with that, right? Like we give and we give and we give until there's absolutely nothing left. And I watched my mom die, I think because of that. She just gave. She martyred herself completely.
Mm-hmm.
I was a mother faced with that reality, and then with the questions of like, okay, well then how am I going to do it different? How am I going to continue to take care of myself? How am I going to mother differently? How am I going to show up in life differently than my mom? Because I don't want to die young. And so holding those questions in my heart, I was really inspired to create a women's healing center, which I opened not long after my mom died in California, which is where I met Shauna, right? Like we came through the channels of Bloom Retreat is what it was called. And it was all focused on community and connection. And we had yoga classes and we had chiropractic and acupuncture and therapy. And the idea was that all the things were under one roof, with the core intention being connecting women. Because I found in myself through that really difficult time that I was craving real connection with other women. And I would go to yoga classes and we'd lay our mats down and do the yoga poses and all the things, but no one actually ever talked. And I was like going through such a hard time. I needed to talk. I needed other women. I needed moms who could get what I was going through. And so that was where Bloom Retreat was born. And it's where ultimately the practice, which is what I lead and teach now, was born. And that came from just putting women in a room together with the intention to do yoga. And I started to see that everybody just needed to connect. So I simply just started to ask before class, like, how are you doing for real? And just that simple question, like, erupted tears and stories. And sometimes we were just answering that question for the whole hour and a half, just connecting and giving women space to unravel. And then the movement after we unravel all that stuff is just like the cherry on top to help move out everything that we've been holding on in our bodies. And so that's where everything really was born, from my own experience and from witnessing the thousands of women that came to the studio and just seeing that, we're all pretty much the same, craving real connection with other women and with ourselves. And so that's what I do, is connect women with each other and with themselves, all with that underlying intention that came from my own mother of how do we reclaim our lives as mothers and as women? How do we put ourselves first, not sick, so that we're actually living a fulfilled life? Because that's also what I watched my mom. She gave up so many of her own dreams because she was taking care of us, which was important, but not at the sacrifice of herself. So I'm on a mission to do it in a different way.
Well, and I can relate too because my mom still is, she's still around. I mean, I love my mom dearly. She's 71 and it's just what it is. It's like take care
Yeah.
of the kids, take care of the kids, and it's a I don't know what you want to call it. It's like the self sacrifice, right? And I was noticing what really got me is I was really noticing what I was doing because that's what I was taught. I was shown
Yeah.
that growing up. It's like kids first, you know, all of their things to do. And that's kind of when I found you. I mean, I had just had my third son. I found you, I think, before when I had Kai Kai. But the overwhelm and the like suffocation, you know what I mean, like the suffocation of and they were babies, you know, diapers and nursing and all of that. And when I found Bloom, it was you said, how are you really, and are you wearing your I'm fine mask? And I was like, yeah. You know, like, yeah. And all the moms in there and the women, it wasn't just moms, but it was like there was no one had ever asked me the questions or the simple like, how are you doing, you know? And it was like a vomit, you know, just when I first started, and it was so uncomfortable. So that wasn't my thing. I hated being vulnerable, but it was you almost gave me the permission to just you know, does that kind of make sense? Like
Yeah.
release.
Yeah, and then when we release that and acknowledge it and vomit it out, there's actual space to like make different decisions for ourselves and choose a different path. But we can't do that when we're holding it all in and putting on the mask and pretending everything's okay. And so sometimes it's about like peeling off the layers, breaking open in order to forge forward in a better way.
Well, and with everything going on, I thought this was just the perfect time to get on with the we're on almost a year of COVID, and this is the love month, whether people like it or not. You can love yourself if people are not into, you know, the whole love story thing. But it's really about just connecting back to you, and you're not a bad mom or bad human being if you have needs or wants or desires. Literally put that stuff at the forefront and shed all these layers, but just start taking the steps forward to you know, like you said, like not just the self-sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. And we haven't been modeled that. Our mothers, it's just not part of their generation, and it's hardly part of our generation. So
Right.
there's those of us that are trying to, um, you know, find a new way to be and live, but we don't have good models for it. So it's really difficult to break through, and it's challenging, and there's a struggle, and it hurts, and we question everything, and there's a lot of self-doubt, and so there's a lot of having to dig deep and find your own inner voice and wisdom to know what is right for you because we
Mm-hmm.
don't have models.
And two, what's right for you. This is what I talk about a lot in my newsletter. It's like not what everyone else says that we should be doing, or the one exercise person or the mom, you know, what Rachel Hollis is doing, or what some yoga, whatever that is. It's about listening to our inner voices, and it's really hard in the beginning because you're like so weighted down by everything and everyone's expectations and what we haven't been modeled. But once you start listening and saying, I don't care about that, I need to give back to me and what's important to me, that's it. It's like not caring about what others are doing. It's just literally connecting back here, like listening to your voice.
Yeah, yeah. And in the practice, I call it sacred listening. And that is the practice. That's like just coming back here again and again and letting your body and your intuition answer your questions, not your mind. And it's like strengthening a muscle, right? Like at first it's really hard, but the more that you practice it, the more that you build that muscle strength, you can hear more clearly. but it is difficult because there's a lot of noise in the world collectively and in our relationships and in our household, and everybody has their own needs. And so to move through and find your own needs is a practice for sure.
Well, what do you think, if say if there's someone just kind of starting out in the whole like self exploration, or I don't even know what you want to call it, self love, self care, kind of just tuning back into self. Um, what is like if I just showed up at Bloom or the practice for my first time, what kind of easy things that, like sitting in the quiet or something to reconnect with yourself, not me, not the outside world, but you, like an individual.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think one of the most important things, and I think the magic sauce to the practice, and probably some of the things that you're offering as well, is gathering women together in circle. And when we're invited to connect with our truth, and I'll do that through meditation and through journal prompting, but then letting our voice speak our truth. And if we're not
Mm,
ready to do that, listening to other women speak our truth,
mm,
we just start to feel that sense of like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. There's other women. In fact, all the women in the room are feeling somewhat similar. We all have different stories, but the underneath emotion and feelings is always very similar. And just starting to hear other women's stories, I think, is so healing and so cathartic. And from that point, we start to feel more empowered to listen to our own stories and our own wisdom. So I think sometimes just dropping into silence right away is difficult because there's still so much noise and
yeah, I was just thinking of,
hard.
I called it the chaos.
Yeah, the chaos is there wherever we show up. But I think just starting to hear other women's stories is critical to healing for women in particular.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Well, what other things are you kind of into? Do you have any events, or I know you've had your own healing kind of, path, if you will, the last year or two. Um, what things are you kind of dabbling into getting, reconnecting back to what you are on, your movement of people, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think for all of us, this last year in particular has been a really challenging year collectively and personally. I mean, I don't really know anybody that hasn't had a difficult year or where everything is just kind of blown up, and we've had to face all the big questions in the past year, I think. And for me in particular, not only COVID and being isolated and homeschooling my children, I also faced a lot of health stuff. I had to undergo a hysterectomy last September, which was a really difficult thing to face physically and emotionally. Um, and so where I have been sitting and practicing is in this place of healing. And I think that there's so much hurt for all of us right now that we need to start healing. And so I've been really looking at my healing journey for this past year and what has helped me and what's helped me kind of start to put back all the broken pieces and help me get up off the floor. There's been many moments where I'm on my knees or curled up on the bathroom floor in tears, like I can't do this anymore. And so how do we get up from that place? And for me, it looks like movement, but my movement has really evolved from a more traditional yoga class where it used to be like, this is my practice and these are the poses I do, to like, I'm just going to turn on music and put my mat on the floor and let my body tell me what it wants to do. And sometimes that's laying on the floor in silence, and sometimes that's like dancing like a wild woman where no one's looking. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it looks like yoga, but giving myself and my body permission to just move. And pray. I've been thinking a lot about praying lately and what that means and how as women, we can kind of reclaim or redefine prayer. And I
Mm.
found myself in prayer a lot, especially through my hysterectomy, and what that looked like was often, talking to my mother on the other side, or imagining that all the hurt and all the grief was being pushed down into my womb, into my uterus, literally, before they removed it from my body. Just like
Wow.
dropping into like really deep places and looking at what is prayer? What does that mean? And it doesn't mean like getting on our knees and praying in the way it did when I was a girl in church, but what is it, woman, in these times? And connecting, like we already talked about, is so important for healing, connecting with other women and hearing other women's stories. And there's a saying like, when one woman speaks her truth, we're all set free, something like that.
Wow. Wow.
Our truth, it gives us all permission to be free. So connecting and writing is huge for me. Just, writing little bits here and there, journaling, poems, whatever, just to like get the stuff out of my fingertips and onto paper and out of my body. So those are practices that I've had over this past year to really help me heal. And I am pulling that all together in a program that is called Heal. That is coming up in
So
March.
perfect.
Yeah. So I'm starting to work with women again online. And I'm also offering something this Sunday. Once a month, I'm doing something called the Sunday Service for Women, which is, again, just a place where we can gather in sacred connection and connect. When I think of prayer and yoga, the word that comes up for me is connection. Prayer is connection, whether that's with my higher self or other women or my body or the higher source, whatever you call that, that is prayer. So the Sunday service is about connection. And we have one this Sunday on February 14th, Valentine's Day, because I felt like it was appropriate for us women to start to celebrate Valentine's Day in a different way, perhaps. And
I agree.
bringing that Cupid's arrow and pointing it right back to ourselves and taking time to connect and love up on ourselves, because it's often Valentine's Day is looking for external love, and often I know, especially as women, our expectations can be squashed on days like that. So how do we, create our own special Valentine's Day? So that's happening this Sunday in the Sunday service. So I have lots of things happening, but mainly around helping us heal from these dark times that we've been in for too long now.
Too long. I know. And I wrote a newsletter recently, and I was just like, if you're still standing, you might have been on the floor, might want a divorce, you might, you have all of these things this last year, literally, but you're still standing. You're the capability and the power of when you go, wow, I hold so much resilience. This was the hardest year, but we're still standing, and to offer yourself something. I mean, I'm telling you, Michelle's classes, I and it's online, which is just fine, but her classes, the circle is it's like having 10 or 20 or X amount of women, our hearts connected. Like, this is what I'm visualizing still, is our hearts connected, when we were sitting in circle and just being raw. And I'd never had that until I met you and what you were, teaching, and your guidance, and you're not a bad mom if, or, just connecting back here. That's just so powerful. And, it's not easy. I know, Mrs. I don't like vulnerability. I do now. I can do it. I have 8 years working on it. But, what do you say to someone, maybe my 8 year ago self? Like, what were the words that you used to the first time people that might, be scared to connect?
Yeah, I mean, I've had so many women write me after sitting through the practice, which is generally a 10-week program,
Mm-hmm.
Heal, a 3-month program. And they'll say to me, I was quiet the whole time. And it's true, I would never see them talk or share a thing. And that's
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us
Yeah.
just, we're not, that's just not where we are, you know. And then they'll write me after and say, but it didn't matter. Like, it was so healing to just be in that circle and to witness women. So you show up as you are, and
Mm.
whatever is real is true. And if it's not time for you to speak or connect, or sometimes it's just laying on the floor. I've had women just lay on the floor the whole time and do nothing. But being surrounded by other women in an intentional space is, again, so healing in of itself. And I have had to adapt because of COVID. I can't be in person with 15, 20 women. So I'm doing it online. And the feedback I'm getting is that that feeling is still there,
Mm-hmm.
even online, even on Zoom. And I think it's because we're going in there with intention. It's not just showing up on another Zoom thing. And, you know, like, we're still there with a really sacred intention, and the magic still happens. So it's still possible, even when we're all far apart, to have that healing.
Well, and I was saying too, with the energy that when women get together, it really doesn't matter if it's live or in person or whatever, because it's the energy that you bring too. I mean, it's just powerful. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, women need each other. And there's always this memory always sticks with me. My mom, even though she was the type of mother who never gave back to herself, one thing she was really, really good about is she had a community of women around her all the time. Her soul sisters, she called them. She had really close friends. And even on the morning that she died, her home was literally filled with women. It was filled with women in her room,
Wow.
upstairs, in the kitchen, taking care of me and my brother when we were there and she was passing. Like, just the power of women. Like, she went with a circle of women literally in her home. And there's nothing more healing than that. There's nothing more powerful than that. We really do need each other. And we forget that, and we get so stuck in our busyness and our ways and our have to go here, get this done, the kids things, and we forget, you know?
Right. We become our to-do lists almost.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have to put that to-do list down and come back. And um, this Sunday in the Sunday service, I'm going to be talking about devotion versus discipline.
Mm.
My goal
Mhm.
that I'm going to be 10 pounds lighter by next month. You know what I mean? So, how do we shift our mindset from discipline to devotion?
The word that just came up for me too is discipline is very a masculine word, and
Exactly.
devotion is more of like an emotional, you know, you can connect to that. Wow, that was just you saying those two words.
Yeah. And devotion feels like soft and, you know, caring. Like, discipline feels like,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go on a timeout. That's amazing. Well, thank you, Michelle. Do you have any other last minute, you know, tips you want to share? I just want to say thank you too for hopping on. You really impacted me. I didn't know it, you know, 8 years ago that a little yoga studio would change my life and my kiddos, you know, showing up for them and more of us More of a what's the word I want to use? I love my kids; they're amazing. But I was feeling when I first met you, I was feeling very like my mom. You know, I have to do it. This has to get done. But now it's more of like I take care of myself for me, and then you also, the kids and my husband and my community, they get the ripple down effect. You know, it's not me just being reactive all the time because I'm, oh, I have to drive them around everywhere. It's literally I'm taking care of myself, so for me, because it feels amazing and I'm confident and calm. But they get the I don't know, there's a quote that says like, give the world the best of you, not what's left of you. And that literally came from the practice, literally.
Yeah. Yeah. And something I'd tag onto that is then that the children are also watching us model that
Yes.
responsibility to do that
Yes.
for our children, because I want my son to watch a woman taking care of herself. I want my daughter to watch her mother taking care of herself. Like the pattern breaks with us so that we have more
I was
empowered
just gonna,
children living more fulfilled lives. So it's actually for them. It is not in service to them to be depleted and a mess and like hating life. That is no. Can you hear me? Or are you in?
totally.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, good.
Okay, good. Well, thank you,
Thank
Michelle. So
you.
catch her on her Sunday service. I'll put all the links in, and then you can share with us when you've started your healing program. Is it's called Heal?
It's called Heal. Yeah, it starts March 1st, and I'm about to announce it next week. So, yeah,
Yay.
lots of good stuff. So you can follow me at the Practice for Women, and I'll be talking about it over there. And the Sunday service is donation based. It's this Sunday, um, so it's easy to attend at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Oh, so that's 8 right now?
Yeah, 8 a.m. for me. I'm in Hawaii, but 10 a.m. Pacific.
It runs how long? An hour? Hour and a
An hour
half?
and a half. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try to hop on. Enjoy Hawaii. Thank you, Michelle. I love you. I'm so
Yep.
grateful for you. And we miss you guys.
I know. We'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.